Hello, and welcome to the 5 o'clock news. Today we're talking about a woman who has gone viral for posting a picture of herself with her period blood showing. But I'm warning you, this is graphic.
Graphic? That's a normal part of life. Rupi Kaur actually focuses a lot of her creative work on topics that seem taboo to some people. She actually wrote one of the most popular poetry collections among young adults.
And here is Katie Keurig with the story.
Rupi Kaur is a 27-year-old up-and-coming poet. She has begun to accomplish what most poets cannot. She is reaching an unusually younger audience, especially when recent statistics indicate that in 2015, only 6.7% of Americans read poetry in the last year.
Kaur was born in India and later immigrated to Canada at the age of 4, where she struggled to communicate with other children until she learned English in the 4th grade. She began drawing at the age of 5 and used her seclusion to refine her skills, always following her mother's advice, draw your heart out. At the age of 17, she decided to focus more on writing and performing.
She went to college at the University of Waterloo in Ontario, Canada. Here, she completed her degree in rhetoric studies and published her first collection, Milk and Honey, in 2014. This poetry collection has sold over 2.5 million copies. It was listed on the New York Times bestseller list for more than 77 weeks and has been translated into 25 languages.
Her second collection, The Sun and Her Flowers, was published in 2017. A week after the book was released, it ranked second on Amazon's bestseller list. Within the first 2 weeks of publication, it was featured in the top 10 of the New York Times bestsellers list.
To Kaur, poetry is for her an outlet when she feels voiceless. In an interview, she explains, quote, "And for someone who felt so voiceless for so long, that was so refreshing. For me, poetry is like holding up a mirror and seeing myself, and it gives words to these very complex emotions and these feelings I had as a child, and not being able to put words to them."
In addition to her published collections, Rupi Kaur took her voice to the social media world and has played a large role in contemporary poetry. Her poetry has some stylistic signatures, such as all lowercase letters, very minimal punctuation, and the length is often short. Another thing Kaur is known for is her poetry is more often than not straightforward and told in a narrative form. The stories she tells in these collections are often centered on themes exploring the parallels and correspondence between love and loss, trauma and healing, femininity, migration, and revolution. These themes ring true to a great many of the themes discussed in English 2025. Here's Kaur reading a poem of hers.
Did you think I was a city big enough for a weekend getaway? I am the town surrounding it, the one you've never heard of but always pass through. There are no neon lights here, no skyscrapers or statues, but there is thunder, for I make bridges tremble. I am not street meat, I am homemade jam, thick enough to cut, the sweetest things your lips will touch. I am not police sirens, I am the crackle of a fireplace. I would burn you, and you still wouldn't take your eyes off me, 'cause I would look so damn beautiful doing it you'd blush. I am not a hotel room, I am home. I am not the whiskey you want, I am the water you need, so don't come here with expectations and try to make a vacation out of me.
When the speaker says that the subject views her as a weekend getaway, she insinuates that he never considered staying or thought of a future with her. When she says he had never heard of the town, she is saying that he had never listened to her, and was saying that he only passes through, she is saying he had never appreciated the history of the town.
Because of that, the speaker reprimands the subject for comparing her to something as lowly as a city, a short-term getaway, when she is so much more than that. She is not like other women that this man has experienced. She is the minority, in that she does not get her power, her confidence, from a big and flashy outward appearance. Instead, she gets that power from her rumbling storm inside, which dominates the neon lights of a mere city. And this brings us to the word thunder.
Thunder is something that is not initially seen in a city. There is no grand monuments in her city, but boy does she pack some power when she desires to stand up for herself and when she demands to be listened to.
And her demands are not without authority, for she is the living personification of thunder, and she must be taken seriously, for she is volatile, more even than her outward appearance may indicate. And she further explains this in the second half of the poem.
In this section, Kaur puts opposites together to show how different the woman is from expectations, and how the expectations aren't as ideal as once thought. Salty and sketchy versus sweet and homemade, loud and disturbing versus quiet and calming, temporary and foreign versus forever and familiar, disorienting and unhealthy versus necessary and nourishing.
These parallels ultimately paint her portrait, her story. She is not so commercially found on every corner as whiskey and street meat. Instead, she takes time to cultivate, and she is nothing but authentic. And this authenticity leads to the speaker's next point. Reading from line 12, I am not police sirens, I am the crackle of the fireplace. I'd burn you, and you couldn't take your eyes off me, 'cause I'd look so beautiful doing it. This vindicates her earlier claim of power while adding another layer to it as well. She is not something so simple as a man-made siren. She is fire, and she is just as unpredictable, alluring, and hypnotic as that flame.
The only punctuation in the poem is when she makes her strongest point and wants the reader to consider her feelings. And toward the beginning, when the most direct conversation happens with her question.
She is very deliberate here with laying out what she is and what she is not. This not only embellishes her character, but validates it. It brings a power into her words.
The main point of this poem is to reflect that the man viewed her wrong. She is not a city, nor a hotel. She is home. She is worth staying forever.
What is that? We're getting calls from everywhere. Let me take one. Riots? In Wyoming? The university? Because they want to hear these poems in next year's English 2025 class? I'll let the public know.
It's not even a real phone.